Good morning. I'm King County Executive Dow Constantine. We gather at a time of remarkable prosperity for our region. Shimmering towers filled with high-paying jobs, driven by a thriving tech industry. We are the envy of the nation, a place where those who have the opportunity to participate in this economy are enjoying remarkable success on a scale that we have never before experienced. To be clear, prosperity is good. A robust economy is a good thing. In the aggregate, we are doing very well. But people don't live their lives in the aggregate. Like America as a whole, and perhaps even more so, we are becoming a land of haves and have-nots. That is the problem. That is the crisis we face here today. Just last week, Pew Research confirmed a stark reality. America's once thriving middle class, the engine of upward mobility, is rapidly shrinking in metropolitan areas, particularly in this one. All of us, everyone who works, everyone who buys things, we all contribute to our region's economic growth. But there's a growing gap between those who benefit from this prosperity and those who do not. It's not just unfair, though it is that. It is unsustainable because it is the middle class that fuels our economic growth. Now, that's not nostalgia for some golden bygone era. That's economics. Part of what's causing the middle class to disappear in our region is the lack of affordable housing. More money chases housing near the big job centers, and in turn, soaring home prices chase working families farther and farther from opportunity and closer to homelessness. If a family can afford a place to raise their kids, it's often because it's either unhealthy or it's far away from where the jobs are, adding to travel time and cost. That's why I've made it a priority in my administration to create healthy, connected communities, to make it possible for more people to participate in our region's thriving economy. In February, I announced $7 million to create 237 new units of affordable housing and $10 million for services to help people once they are in that housing. And last fall, I announced an initiative to borrow against future revenue generated by lodging taxes to create transit-oriented development, vibrant communities based around high-capacity transit that connects mixed-income housing with schools and job centers. Today, I deliver to the County Council my plan to direct $48 million to turn that vision into reality, with investments here in South King County and at Northgate in Seattle and in the Bel-Red Corridor on the east side. I want to thank the legislature for partnering with us and granting us the authority to take this action, particularly Speaker Frank Chopp and bill sponsor Larry Springer and all the legislators who are here with me today. Thank you for demonstrating true leadership at the state level. Thank you. But we're just getting started. Here this morning, I propose a new partnership, one to significantly increase the supply of affordable housing in our region. Under my proposal, we would back the King County Housing Authority with King County's AAA credit rating, expanding their access to low-cost financing and joining with them to develop or acquire up to 2,200 units of affordable housing over the next 6 years in King County. Once again, our stellar credit rating is paying dividends for all the people of this county. 2,000 plus homes. That's a big number. But where housing is located is just as important as how much of it there is. That's why these homes, built or acquired by the Housing Authority, will be strategically located near mass transit in healthy neighborhoods. Our location today is an excellent example. We're just a few blocks away from the Tukwila Light Rail Station with fast, reliable access to jobs in Seattle or classes at Seattle University or at Seattle Community College, Seattle College, or at the University of Washington. The doors to opportunity, and soon to Highline College. Others will be in neighborhoods that have exactly what the kids need. Good local schools, access to healthy food, to walkable streets. And you know, these are communities that have everything going for them except affordable places to live. We can change that. And that's really our shared goal. The executive office, the county council, the legislature, our cities, the housing authority, and the Housing Development Consortium. All of us working together to create livable, connected communities where children and families can thrive and where a strong middle class can grow. Now, after our remarks today, I invite our journalists to check out a before and after unit here at the Corinthian. I think it'll be very eye-opening for you. And I direct you to Chad Lewis, right here, our communications guy who can help get you to the right location. But now it's my pleasure to introduce one of our partners in this shared effort, the chair of the King County Council, Joe McDermott.
I'm Joe McDermott. I chair the King County Council. In last fall, I stood with Executive Constantine and Mayor Murray in declaring a state of emergency on homelessness. That was in recognition of the work that the city and the county are doing, but the need for stronger partnerships. Partnerships is what we're here to talk about today. And since then, the one night count this winter counted 4,505 individuals unsheltered overnight. That was a 19% increase over the previous year. And if that's not startling enough, the previous year was a 21% increase over the year before that. Since then, I'm proud to report that King County has dedicated millions of dollars to create thousands of affordable homes. And we've also invested millions of dollars in preventing homelessness through the Best Starts for Kids levy. Today's announcement strengthens that work. Every jurisdiction across our region has responsibility to do what it can to address homelessness and to work to ensure that people have their most basic need met, a safe place to lay your head at night. No one jurisdiction can do this alone. This is a regional problem, and we must have regional solutions. The approach announced today does just that. King County partners with the state of Washington, with Sound Transit, with the King County Housing Authority, and with cities throughout our region to increase affordable homes now. I'm especially pleased that these efforts recognize the importance of creating communities near transit, making it easier for individuals to get to work, to educational opportunities, and job centers throughout our region. My colleague, Councilmember Claudia Balducci, will speak to that in a moment. Homelessness is a problem that we can solve and that we must solve. Together we can end the disturbing, unacceptable, and rapid increase we have seen in homelessness through strong partnerships. I'm proud to be part of this announcement today. And next, I'm proud to be able to introduce my friend and my colleague on this King County Council, Jeannie Cole Wells, the chair of the Council's Health, Housing, and Human Services Committee.
Thank you, Councilmember McDermott and Executive Constantine. I'd also like to thank several of my former legislative colleagues who are here today. Senate Minority Leader Sharon Nelson, Senator Karen Kaiser, Senator Mark Melosia, Representative Joan McBride, and Representative Tina Orwell. We're very fortunate to have such fine legislators here, and also that we have great partners in the state legislature. It is said that home is where the heart is, but home has also got to be where one can find access to jobs, to school, childcare, shopping, and so forth. And with all of the displacement that is going on in our urban areas where people are being forced to move much further away from their jobs, the college, and so forth, we really need to do all we can to make sure that as our light rail and high capacity transit areas expand, that people are able to take advantage of them by being able to live in close proximity. But we also know that property costs surrounding transit centers are increasing and will continue to do so. Thus, it's really vital that we move quickly to acquire properties where families can have equitable access to homes that are easily accessible to jobs, schools, and vibrant communities. This year, as Council Member and Chair McDermott mentioned, I am chairing the Health, Housing, and Human Services Committee, and am very pleased to be working with County Executive Constantine and my colleagues on crucial issues like affordable housing. I'm also pleased to have worked with the County Executive and my colleagues to pass the ordinance for the first stage of the Best Starts for Kids levy, which included $19 million to prevent children and families and youth and their families from becoming homeless. We passed that out of the council over a week ago. Last week, I was also pleased to travel to San Francisco to meet with a number of advocates addressing the complexities of providing benefits and services to those who are homeless, but also to find more ways to prevent individuals and families from becoming homeless. The council also took a very important step forward in passing the READY Fund program so that individuals and families will be able to have access to transit area housing. I very much look forward to continue working on this very important issue with the county executive and my colleagues and our partners in Olympia and in our local communities. Next, I'd like to welcome King County Council Member Dave Upthegrove. Okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Dave Upthegrove, member of the King County Council representing South King County, including the area we're standing in now. As the executive said, where we provide housing is almost as important as how much we provide. And I'm proud that we're here in South King County as a sign that we're preparing to make significant investments in areas that have the highest levels of inequity and need. There are about 23,000 families here in South King County that pay more than half of their income in rent. Imagine spending half of your paycheck every month on your housing. That's a sign of economic instability. Also, in the school districts here in South King County, we have about 3,000 kids who are completely homeless without shelter. That's more than any other part of the county. Here in South King County, we have the greatest level of diversity, the highest level of need, and so new investments here in SeaTac and in the Highline area and housing are so critical because they're going to open up a world of opportunity for these families. Some national studies have shown that the greatest barrier to economic mobility, it isn't education, what I would have guessed. It's actually access to employment. And so by providing access to employment for communities like this, we're going to provide more access to the American dream. And I'm excited to join the county executive in announcing the program this morning. And it's my pleasure to introduce my friend and colleague, King County Council Member Claudia Balducci.
Good morning. My name is Claudia Balducci, and I represent District 6 on the east side of King County. I'd like to echo the comments of the speakers before me. Affordable housing is a regional problem. Housing affordability is a challenge that we all face throughout King County, and we must take a regional approach to solving it. We must take on new measures to engage our partners that share similar values in addressing the root causes of inequity throughout our region. That's why I'm proud to be part of this announcement today. But also as a Sound Transit Board member, I've been working with my colleagues, and some of them are here today, our Council Chair, Joe McDermott, Councilmember Dave Upthegrove, and County Executive Constantine. On the Sound Transit Board, we're working to make sure that affordable housing is a priority as we go into our next round of transit funding, Phase 3 or ST3. We're trying to take an effective approach to providing opportunities right like this one, right near transit, where people can get around the region, get to their jobs, get to all those educational institutions that were mentioned. And after ST3 is built out, that will include Bellevue College. So I want to add to that list. ST3 will invest even more resources in this kind of effective approach to affordable housing. The state statute that authorizes ST3 also directs us to implement an equitable TOD or transit-oriented development program, which will allow affordable housing developers to gain access to land that Sound Transit has surplused after we're done building out our system. This will enable many more affordable units to be constructed right near transit where they can do the most good. Everyone deserves a safe, affordable roof over their heads. All of our kids deserve to grow up in communities where they have access to opportunities like quality education, stable housing, and reliable transportation. ST3, through high-capacity transit, creates diverse mixed-use and mixed-income communities that will lift our region and make us all stronger together. Thank you. And now I am pleased to introduce the Mayor of Auburn and my colleague on the Sound Transit Board, Nancy Backus.
Good morning. Thank you, Councilmember Balducci, and thank you, Executive Constantine, for your continued leadership around the important issues surrounding affordable housing, reducing homelessness, and for putting the strength of King County's buying power behind the effort in order to make affordable housing projects more feasible in our cities. Both homelessness and affordable housing are also top priorities for Sound Cities Association, which represents 37 of the King County cities, and we appreciate every opportunity to work closely with King County on innovative ideas that significantly improve quality of life. The strategic approach to locate is an important distinction in this plan, one that I personally applaud. Our families must be able to find affordable homes in a stable and safe neighborhood, with access to great schools, transportation, stores, services, jobs, and opportunities. The idea that a particular income level should prevent a family from being a part of a particular neighborhood, or that the affordable homes should be relegated to the outskirts or be segregated somehow from certain parts in our cities, is an idea that, quite frankly, has no place. It is incumbent upon all of us to embrace our neighbors regardless of financial status and make sure they all feel welcome and safe in our cities, in our neighborhoods, and in their own homes. I'm confident that we can make great strides with this plan. Thank you again, King County Executive Constantine, and to the King County Council for supporting this effort. Now I would like to introduce Stephen Norman, Executive Director of King County Housing Authority. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Stephen Norman. I serve as the Executive Director of the King County Housing Authority. And we talk about this being a regional partnership, and even the weather is cooperating. So that's quite a partnership. So everybody here today knows that we have an affordable housing problem that has reached crisis proportions. It's a problem that impacts not only the very poor, not only elderly and disabled households, but increasingly working class families and the middle class. It is part of a larger set of challenges for the region that include homelessness, the success of our schools in educating poor children, our ability to develop a transportation system that serves our community's growing population. I want to salute the county executive, the leadership at the state legislative level, the county council, and the suburban city governments for their vision and leadership in addressing these challenges. They understand that there is no silver bullet. Rather, there is a need for a wide array of approaches, some of which we are here to announce today. One of these is our Credit Enhancement Partnership. Building on a unique and highly successful 25-year track record, the county and the Housing Authority are taking this partnership to the next level. We are leveraging the county's extraordinary AAA credit rating to provide the Housing Authority with significantly expanded and more flexible access to private capital markets. The authority will use this credit enhancement to access private capital for the acquisition or construction of up to 2,200 units of housing over a 6-year period. Without this new tool, our ability to finance these projects under current market conditions in this banking environment would be close to zero. Investments will be located strategically near good schools, within transit corridors, where seniors can walk to stores. Much of this is focused on preserving affordability in communities impacted all over the county by rising rents. The Corinthian, where we stand today, a 95-unit complex, is a good example of this. We bought this complex last year when it came onto the market. Rents in this neighborhood are rising dramatically. Any private buyer would have raised rents significantly, forcing lower-income residents to move and losing this stock to the affordable housing inventory. KCHA will keep the rents where they are and is investing $5.5 million through the sale of federal tax credits to upgrade the complex, eliminating life safety hazards and extending the lifespan of these units. And I want to emphasize that what you're seeing today is the before. We have some afters in terms of the interior of the units. We haven't started on the exteriors yet. This is regional government doing what it should, combining resources, leveraging private sector tools, working efficiently to invest limited taxpayer dollars in assuring our community's future. A future where children succeed, seniors and disabled households can live with dignity, there are no homeless on our streets, and people can get to work on time. So my profound thanks to our regional leadership. Thank you all for your support on this. Now, I'm very pleased to invite up Marty Koistro, who is the Executive Director of the Housing Development Consortium, to close the program.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you all. And I want to thank our electeds and especially our Executive Constantine for choosing to do this during Affordable Housing Week. So during this week, over 20 cities in King County have made a proclamation, as well as the King County Council, stating what you've just heard before me. We have an urgent crisis. It's a regional crisis, and it is one that we can do something about. And so HDC is proud of helping spearhead the effort to work with our electeds at the state level and our partners to accomplish the legislation allowing King County to bond and to create the pool of funds that are going to be used for much of this work. It took us 3 years to get it done. There was a lot of perseverance and a little patience, but today we can realize the excitement of that, as well as the other innovative work that is being done with the King County Housing Authority. I just want to conclude by saying this. The people behind me and the folks that are working hard every day to understand the sense of urgency that we need around this issue also get the fact that housing is not just a noun. It's a verb. It is a place of rootedness for families and individuals to be able to be full contributors in our community. And we are really, really, it's a special thing to have a leader like Executive Constantine who is helping drive that effort throughout our county. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Marty. So, a menu of approaches, and as Stephen Norman alluded, no silver bullet. There are many other approaches as well that are being implemented throughout this county. But it's an exciting day, and we're pleased to take any questions you might have.
Yeah, I'm no economist, so hopefully you can help me understand how leveraging the county's credit rating makes this possible. Is the county guaranteeing loans, and does that create some exposure to taxpayers?
So the housing authority used to be able to borrow on a basis similar to what local governments or general purpose governments could borrow. For various reasons, including, as I understand it, some of the implications of Dodd-Frank, banks are no longer lending to housing authorities on that same basis. So we need to partner with them in order, essentially, yes, to guarantee or co-sign for their loan, in order that they might be able to borrow the money to push this housing out there and get people into affordable housing. King County Housing Authority has an extremely strong track record of delivering projects and a very stable funding over time. So we have a high level of confidence. If they were unable to pay those, of course, we would have to go back and renegotiate with them to ensure that the taxpayers of King County are made whole. Next.
This property right here, is this the first purchase?
I'm going to let Steve Norman of the Housing Authority, and I guess I should explain something more elementary. The King County Housing Authority and the King County government are two different entities, but we work closely together to ensure that we can construct and manage affordable housing. Steve, do you want to talk a little bit about your inventory?
Okay. In response to the question about this property, we purchased this property almost a year ago using a line of credit. Unfortunately, our ability to continue to do that, as the Executive Constantine alluded to, is going away. So this will essentially do two things for us. One, we have yet to put the permanent financing on this complex. We'll do that after we finish the rehabilitation. And the credit enhancement will help us at that point here. It will also provide us with the flexibility to pull money down quickly to compete in a very competitive market to acquire additional properties.
Will this be the first of your projects to open? I think it's part of what Dante was asking. And how many units does this represent here?
There are 95 units here, and there are another 190 units on the other side of the Tukwila Rail Station, a complex called the Village at South Station, which we've purchased as well.
And who gets them? Is there a waiting list? Is there an income test you have to pass?
Well, I think the first thing is that the people who are currently living there get to stay there. Now, it's a little complicated in this case because to do the rehab, we had to enter into a federal program involving tax credits that I mentioned. And because of that, there are some income limits. But the property across the way, everybody who's currently living there gets to stay. One of our biggest concerns driving these acquisitions is that the rents are going up very rapidly in these neighborhoods, and the folks who currently live here, near jobs, are being forced out.
So is that going to be true of many of these properties, that they'll come already occupied by people that are currently living there? And what does this do to increase the inventory of housing to meet the needs of people who don't have a place?
Well, I think this will be a mix of acquisitions and new construction. And it's hard to project in the real estate market, which is inherently opportunistic, as projects come up. There are clearly areas along the mass transit lines where there is vacant land, where we would do new construction. In these cases, it does a number of things. One is it preserves affordability for folks who are living there. So one of the problems we have is that you can't just keep producing new units if you're losing affordability on the units that are already there. It's like pouring water into a bucket with a hole in the bottom. And it's actually far more cost effective to buy and preserve affordability in existing housing than it is to build new housing. So it's a combination of the two. We're going to prevent the situation from getting worse, but we're also going to produce new units and produce them in strategic locations.
That's a great answer. Thank you. Others? Well, all of these folks will be available to answer your questions individually. And also, I want to remind you once again that this is Chad Lewis here, and he can guide you to the before and after unit and also round up any questions that might come up as you're taking your tour. Thank you for being here. This is another great moment for us as a region coming together to address a collective challenge. And I believe that if we continue this kind of partnership, we will succeed. Thank you so much.